So, they keep disconnecting my internet. I cannot believe. Can you even see how much she's cut my goddamn hair? Of course you can, right? Of course you can. It's easy to see. It's easy to see. It's super easy to see. It's shorter, there's less of it. She just keeps cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. She can't stop herself. She can't stop herself. What's gonna happen? What, when I have no hair? What's the excuse gonna be? When I cut my own hair? I've cut my hair twice. That's it. She can't help herself. She's a psychopath. She's a complete fucking fruitcake. Answer me this, the people that know about gang stalking. Why? Why would the feds want someone like this running around? This psychotic, this crazy. I mean, this is lunacy. You know? Like, see how it keeps parting down the middle? Because she keeps taking hair down the middle. But why would, look at that. Why would the government want someone like this running around? Why? Look at my hair. I have no hair. Why? Why would they want someone like this running around free? She doesn't fear them. They don't fear them. Which has to mean that they know that. I mean, if I've seen the feds running around and watching, and after 12 years of being followed, I know when I'm being followed. And I know for damn. I know for damn certain that the Army intelligence guys in Hawaii knew. I mean, I talked to the damn guy at the park, coincidentally running into an Army intelligence officer, and he just most certainly was. Him and his friend were most certainly military. They were there doing some drone thing at Kapiolani Park. But yeah, he was all military. You know? Him telling me how Hawaii is one of the biggest, that in Washington, D.C., places where they surveil, where they gather intelligence. You're going to tell me that the Hawaiian sovereignty, who openly threatens the United States government on a regular basis and goes to court fighting against the military, preventing them from building things, from practicing, from doing drills in certain areas, you're going to tell me that those guys didn't know what was going on with me? You're going to tell me that? There's no way. I had sovereignty guys driving back and forth in front of my house with flags, huge flags on the back of their trucks. They knew. I saw a bunch of them in Manoa Valley. I've never seen that many military guys in Manoa Valley before. It is not somewhere that they live. It's a nice valley, but it's expensive and it's far. It's far from all the bases. It doesn't make sense. That's why they don't live there. They live in Aiea, they live in Pearl City. I mean, even Waikiki maybe. But for the most part, and definitely on the windward side. Because you can get from the windward side to the Army bases, the Navy, all those things. And then the Marine Corps bases on the windward side. But Manoa? I lived there for almost 40 years. I barely ever saw any military guys in the valley, period. And when I was back there, it was filled with them. They were everywhere. And everybody knows when they see a military guy. It's the haircut, it's the it's the way they dress, it's everything. Mostly the haircut. So they knew. So they knew. And I saw them. And I remember when I mentioned it on a YouTube posting, then all of a sudden, all the people in Manoa Valley that had sovereignty flags in their yards took them down. All of a sudden, when I put it on there, how dumb can you be? You know, you just want to make yourself a target. You just want a basic, I mean, you're flying a flag. They're flying over in little planes back and forth all day long. All night, all day, all night, all day. That's what they do. And Jeffrey Kuhn, who put a telescope on top of Haleakala, he put it up there where there's like 4 or 5 Army intelligence telescopes that are used to surveil. So you're going to tell me so they knew. You're going to tell me that these guys didn't notice? Well, they didn't at first because the Hawaiians are so overconfident in everything that they can do all the time to anybody. They run the show. I guess it didn't really cross their minds. It's interesting that Jeffrey didn't share that information with them because he most certainly knows. And you would think that the Army intelligence guys, since they're sharing a facility where all the telescopes are on top of Haleakala, they would have had to thoroughly vet Jeffrey Kuhn, since he goes up there all the time. So is Jeffrey working with the Army intelligence guys? Is he working with the Army intelligence guys to develop this drugging ability? See these guys next door waiting to rape and sodomize me? You know what they don't care about besides raping and sodomizing an unconscious woman? They don't care about watching a dog suffer and die just so they can have the chance to rape and sodomize a woman. She's super excited. It's interesting. You can feel the energy. They were planning on doing this last night. They had it all set up at this location. And then I chose to go somewhere else. And they had to, because I could tell, because at first we could actually breathe in the hotel room. But it didn't take long before a little crazy bitch went crawling up in the attic. So now they're super excited. You can feel the energy of it. It's like they don't know anything about energy. I can feel their excitement at the thought of being able to gang, rape, and sodomize, and she can sex traffic me to the local rapists in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. I wonder if the 2 guys next door have a history of sex crimes. If either one of them have been busted before for rape. Because I'm guessing at least some of my rapists have a history and an arrest record for raping. Hey, baby. So, yes, they have to see the feds, because I see them. And I know how insane that sounds. I don't care. I don't. I've seen what I've seen. And I talked to that Army intelligence guy. And he basically told me, how could you... No, he literally said, how could you fuck up living in Hawaii? You know? Look at this amazing place. How could you fuck that up? You know what I have to say to him? Because I actually wanted Hawaii to be a better place than it is. Not the meth capital of the entire country. Not where it's such a line of bullshit, where all the Hawaiians are falling into this bullshit belief that they've been robbed of their land. No, concentrate on the fact that the Hawaiians above you have $50 billion and they don't want to share it with you. And they have all the money you need to buy whatever land you want. But don't think about that. Concentrate on somebody like me. Hating on me. Trying to destroy me. Because that'll further you. That'll further your life. Right? By becoming more of a criminal. Instead of actually thinking about how your own people are robbing you blind. Which happens to everybody. Right? I guess that's one thing that white people have knowledge of, that ethnicities don't, minorities don't have knowledge of quite yet. They haven't accepted that fact. That just because somebody looks like you doesn't mean they have your back. Period. And some Hawaiians know that. Some Hawaiians know that because when they try to put their kids in school and try to get the benefits of Kamehameha schools, but then they fall this close on the blood amount, and then they don't get to go. Or when they're applying for land, and they fall this close on the blood amount, and they don't get the land that they want. Or they're given some shit piece of land with no utilities or out in the middle of nowhere. They know. But this isn't about ideology. It really isn't. They'll use that tact if they have to. They'll use that tact. They'll say, I'm a Trump supporter if it's people who are Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter people have gotten involved in this, for sure. And then they'll go to the Trump people and say, I'm a Black Lives Matter person if they want to get their help. It's the stupidity of human beings that they just prey on. So easy. People are so fucking easy to manipulate. But the feds. So they know. I know they know. So where does that leave me? So I'm asking the people who have experience in this gang stalking stuff, what do you think? I mean, what do the feds have to benefit from helping people to rape and murder and drug traffic? I mean, what benefit does that do for the world, the country in which they live in? Where's the benefit in that? I don't get it. I don't understand. Because, I mean, they can clearly see what will happen in their society if people like what this is being done to this dog right here. Look at that. Does that look like a doggy dream to you? Does that look like a fucking doggy dream to you? That's neurological. So is that the benefit? That the feds get to do human and animal experimentation without having any obligation towards ethics, morals, just basically collect data on something that's totally illegal, immoral. I mean, it's disgusting. It's hideous. As one person said, these videos are horrific. What do you think it's like to sit here and watch these dogs do this every single night? You know, we drive around, it's in the car, but they're awake for the most part. But at some point, they want to go and lay down. And we can no longer do that in the RV. Not that that was positive. That's what killed Kitty, was thinking that I could do this in an RV. Stupid, yes, for sure. But what's the benefit? I mean, it's the destruction of humanity. It's the destruction of all legal, moral, ethical standards of the United States of America. What's the benefit of the feds to make the United States of America Mexico? Where's the benefit? So what, all the Mexicans will go back? Because it'll be just as bad here as it is over there? Most of the people are poor as shit in Mexico. Why? Because the cartel runs it. That's why. I mean, you know how much food we get from Mexico? But yet, they're not rich. Not the people. Not in general. So, where's the fucking benefit in allowing this to go on? So they can have this chemical warfare? So they can gas people in a room within seconds of them being there? Who cares? Who fucking cares? I mean, you think Putin's not way ahead on this already? I mean, it just doesn't play out in my head. So maybe somebody else can explain it to me, because I don't get it. It definitely makes you think that everybody that gets labeled crazy, schizophrenic, all those things, maybe they just really aren't. Maybe they're just people that actually know more about what's going on than the rest of us. I mean, I can get the government wanting to keep people blind. But if you take a look at like what's been going on with me with this crazy bitch and how many people she's had rape me, you don't think those rapists are going to long for that? For the ability to do that to somebody else? To knock somebody out unconscious and do anything they want with them for hours? Of course they are. They're rapists. So I've been in 9 different states, been raped by men in 9 different states. Repeatedly in all those states. Gang raped, sodomized, tortured. What's the benefit in having all those men out there that have the knowledge of how to do this? What will stem from this is other women will have this happen to them. And I bet you anything there'll be men who did this to me, who participated in this, who will try to do this on their own without crazy bitch crawling around in the attic and without the whole backing of all these organized crime guys. And women will die. Because they'll do it and they won't be able to. I mean, I've died. I've asphyxiated. I woke up with throw up stuffed in my nose. I've died. Because I've been unconscious and being viciously raped and sodomized. And my heart stopped. I know that. I felt that way when I woke up. I felt like I had died. I felt like I was dying. And then throw up just stuffed in my nose. How would I throw up while I'm sleeping and not wake up? How would I not have throw up all over myself? How would it only be packed into my nose? These other men will do this to other women, probably children, and kill them. they'll end up dead. And they'll disappear and end up in some whatever, and I guess their body, maybe by the time it's found, won't be able to tell what happened to them. What is the fucking benefit of that? What? I mean, for Crazy Bitch, it's like she's spreading her seeds of horror. See, I have the opposite way of thinking. I think the biggest benefit would to take this bitch, drag her out of this attic, and put her down like a rabid fucking animal. And put a bullet in her fucking face. And chop her up into little pieces and burn them because she's evil. She's a demon. You want to get rid of that shit. And every single rapist that thinks it's fun to rape a woman that's been drugged until unconsciousness, either while their dogs are laying right next to them, or while they drag the dogs out and put them in a different room. Every single one of those guys, same thing. They should be shot, dismembered, and burned. Because they're demons. That's demonic. That's evil. That's the epitome of fucking evil. So answer me. What's the benefit in letting all these evil fucking pieces of shit running around doing this shit to me get away with it? What's the benefit? If some crackhead whore with her fucking physicist friend Jeffrey Kuhn, who should be the enemy of, by the way, of the Hawaiian sovereignty for putting a telescope on Haleakala. That's like a sacred fucking mountain. Look up what the protest for Mauna Kea, but somehow they got that thing up on Haleakala with very little word of mouth, very little protest. But he should be a mortal enemy of the native Hawaiians. Yet I saw sovereignty guys in his yard doing yard work, planting native plants for him. They were wearing shirts that clearly identified who they were. They did his tree trimming. It's because he's given them this. And maybe he's helping them surveil the Army intelligence guys. Who knows? They're on the same mountain. I would be very worried if I was the Army intelligence guys. I mean, here they are putting so much time and effort into surveilling, but yet they have someone on their own mountain that's working for the enemy, that's buddies with the enemy. Do they understand that? Do they understand that someone that has clearance to go on the same mountaintop with those Army intelligence guys, with their telescopes, with their surveillance equipment, that same guy is in bed with the sovereignty? And they could figure that out very quickly. Very, very quickly. All of it just doesn't fucking add up. But the moment that I looked Jeffrey Kuhn up, just on Google, and saw that he was pretty much solely responsible for putting that telescope up on Haleakala, and then I saw the sovereignty guys working for him, probably for free, I knew. Jeffrey Kuhn should get a bullet in his face and chopped up into little pieces. Because he's a scientist you don't want running around free. He's like the scientist that worked for Hitler. He is. All madmen, dictators, all that, they all have scientists. Being a scientist doesn't make you not insane. But just as a little dig, Jeffrey, let me remind you how all your life's work, everything you've ever thought of, every ounce of effort, everything you've studied, the years, the decades that you've put into what you've put out and published, and your putting of the telescope up there, everything, all of that pales in comparison, and nobody gives a fuck about any of it. And it pales in comparison to what you've really contributed to society. Your biggest contribution is to help organized crime guys who rape and murder women and children, who kill people by dealing them drugs, who destroy the community in which you live and everybody else lives in Hawaii. Those people, you enable and help those people. That's your biggest contribution to society. That's your biggest. That's what you should be known for. Funny thing, there's a lot of Hawaiians that, yes, they'd want to kill me for sure, but they'd also want to kill Jeffrey. They don't care about his little contribution to helping to figure out how to gas people in their own homes. They're not going to care about that. And that's what's so hilarious about all this. All these people that are helping the Hawaiians to destroy me. There is a shit ton of Hawaiians out there that would line up every fucking one of them and execute them. Because you see, there's a big faction of the Hawaiian people that just hate the fuck out of everybody. Native Americans, whites, blacks, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not Hawaiian, they want to see you dead. That's just the way it is. That's how they feel. And to be honest, I have more respect for that than this insanity of coming after someone who's never done anything to them. Ever. It's not like when I talked about the murder of Dana Ireland in my own backyard that anybody gave a fuck. And since then, I've told a lot of police about my belief and what happened and all that, and their response is that it's not a closed case. They know that. They just can't get anybody to talk because they'll end up getting buried. That's why. But I don't know anything that nobody else doesn't know. If the feds couldn't have figured all that out, then we have one of the stupidest Federal Bureau of Investigations to ever exist. Because literally I did that just off of what you can find on Google, which is what's in the newspapers. So I never did anything to deserve any of this. But it doesn't matter now because it's gotten to the point where the people that are violating me and doing these things to me, they're just psychos. They don't care what I've done. They don't care if I deserve anything or not. These two guys next door, all they're thinking about right now is sticking their dick in my body while I'm like a dead person. That's all they're thinking about. Which I think is really sick and weird. Yep, lots of drugs in here. Can you see as I'm talking how much more glassy and red my eyes have gotten? They're quite irritated because this shit is just going straight into my eyeballs. The stuff that caused my cat to get lymphoma in his eyeballs.